All right, hey guys, Dr. Uhrmacher here. Just wanted to welcome you to this training here. And what I've done, I got a AdWords SEO, or excuse me, AdWords expert on the line here with me. And basically, what we did is we went through and did a case study. And this is Brendan Holmes with Soaring. And what I want to do is go through with Brendan here. We're going to hit a little bit on the case study. He's going to go through the numbers. What I did is I put up the ad spend. He did all the work for it, so that we could see the results of this for a chiropractor. Along with it, though, he's going to hit on, some of the pitfalls. I got a list of questions we'll go through, and some of the things that you need to look out for if you're going to do your own AdWords. But ultimately, I really want to introduce you to Brendan so that if you see the value of you not doing this yourself and don't want to blow through a bunch of ad spend and actually get some results, that you have a resource to get that done. So Brendan, welcome onto the line, and let's, I guess, give me a little bit of background on you, and then let's dive right into that case study with some of the numbers we got.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Jeff. My AdWords background, it began in 2013, fall of 2013, and it began for real estate investors. And then it kind of expanded from there. I've had a couple of dentists campaigns aside from the investors, and then one that kind of stood out was actually a pet taxi in Boise, Idaho. And so all of it's learning experience, even though it's different, and some of it's like that one was a little bit slower. It's all pretty similar. The campaign structures. Learning different keywords, different negative keywords. And so along with that, then I started out with Investor Carrot, then investor software company back in 2013, doing some consulting work. And then I was actually hired on by them in December of this last year, 2015, but more on the content marketing side. I still handle, I think I have at least a dozen investors right now, and a couple of just side jobs with more consulting. I don't have my hands in any of the other industries, but I'll jump in on accounts and give them ideas on either landing pages or anything that they can do with their AdWords accounts to make them optimize better. So that's kind of my background. I'm certified in AdWords. I'm a Google partner. I'm also a Bing certified. So it's come kind of quickly in a couple of years, but there was definitely a learning curve, but fun. AdWords is a fun but complex system. It's one that's, I think that's why I get a lot of especially the consultings. I have those clients that they'll jump in and they're kind of gung-ho in the beginning, and then they see that it's actually a lot of work. And that's why they contact me to at least help them out to see what they can do better.
Right, and I should mention that's where I met. Do you have your volume up, Brendan?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I think I'm getting an echo. I don't know, it wasn't echoing before. So that's how I initially met Brendan, was on the investor side doing some real estate investing. And I'd had a couple of other people set up AdWords campaigns and get me a lot of clicks, was really blowing through my ad spend. And I thought I had a decent ad spend, to get some testing done at about $50 a day, just blowing through it. And I wasn't seeing any results. So I asked around, came across Brendan, and all of a sudden he just went in. He was obviously really familiar with what was already set up dealing with investors. And I didn't go through my ad spend every day, and all of a sudden my keywords dropped, but now I was starting to get results versus just clicks and spending money. So you proved it obviously to me in my own campaigns, and that's why we decided to do this case study. Was, hey, I got a bunch of love, doesn't blow up their ad spend, and actually get some ROI on the other end. So that's kind of how we came across was with the investors. So I guess, maybe you can start with some of the first things maybe you look at when you're doing a campaign. Are there ways they can spy on, maybe competitors to see what they're already targeting, to see, where they can not screw up, I guess, as far as those effective keywords and stuff along those lines?
Yeah, I use a tool called SEMrush. I found that one to be a pretty good competitor spying tool. So I'll use that. And then I jump in AdWords or Google. I'll just Google terms and see what companies pop up and see if they're, I might run through 20 to 50 keywords and just see if there's a common company that comes up and what they're doing, and kind of piggyback off of those. If someone's ranking high in AdWords consistently, then they're obviously doing something right. And then on that side, then I can jump into SEO or SEMrush, and you can actually see what they're potentially bidding on certain keywords. So it kind of gives an idea of what usually it's by market. Keywords are going to be general across the board in markets, but it's usually the location of the market or the industry or client that's going to drive up the cost of the keywords. And then along with the keywords, there's usually three common keywords. There's broad match keywords, phrase match keywords, and then exact match. And I tend to use phrase and exact with all my campaigns. Especially the broad match ones are definitely the ones that can burn through budgets fast. And I use the example of one of the investors that I have. He uses broad match, and he has a term that's get rid of my house, or how to get rid of my house fast. But if someone searches for how to get rid of, it could be ants, how to get rid of ants, but they search for that term in his target location, his ad comes up just because it's a broad match keyword for that get rid of term.
Right.
And there's actually, he'll blow through his budget because people then click on his ad, even though his ad has nothing to do with ants. Yeah, they click on it. So ones that typically, unless I'm asked to include those, I don't. I try to make campaigns very specific to block that, to kind of the constraint on it to be targeted. Yes. Right.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's one of the first things you did to mine was you just shut off all my broad keywords, and like I said, then it preserved my budget for the more targeted keywords that went along with that. So when you're looking at that too, because I have a lot of, especially in the chiropractors, I think our language is different than the prospect language. So do you notice that some of the keywords that you find, and maybe you do a consult with the person first, do you see that you look at different keywords than what maybe the doctor does, as far as what the intent of the person searching, what they're looking for? Do you see different things there?
I did, yeah. And with the chiropractors, because it's a new industry for me, I spent a few days just researching. And like researching to me is typing in phrases, and it's a term called Google Suggest. So if you type in a phrase in Google, you might it could be chiropractors in, and then if you put in another letter, it's going to say another word. So I'll use a Google Suggest to find certain terms, and that's how I did it with the chiropractors in Bakersfield. That I had kind of a seed list. I think I had about 100 keywords in my seed list, and then I just went through all those and mainly use that Google Suggest. I'll use the Google kind of keyword estimator also, but I found that it's a great common tool, but it's not hitting all the keywords in the industries. So it was different definitely than like in the real estate investor industry, but it's still common enough that people are going to be searching for, if it's back adjustment. There's a common theme to all of them. So as long as you have those seed keywords in amongst that theme, then it's no problem finding the keywords. It's just weeding out actually is kind of the key part of it. Weeding out ones that either maybe a little bit more expensive than other keywords, but very similar to another one, or keeping it just as an exact match rather than a phrase match, or vice versa. And so the other part of it is making sure that the kind of the cost benefit of that keyword is going to be something to keep.
Gotcha. Yeah, just thinking of you saying back adjust. That's not a keyword that I typically, as a chiropractor, would be searching for, and so I'd probably miss out. Searches there that someone's looking for that maybe just isn't familiar, with chiropractic across the board. What about negative keywords? How is that something that you kind of work through as well, that you try and eliminate what you saw with this case study that we did?
Great. I have a list that's just a general list, and it's blocking. I think there's about 300 keywords, but it's blocking kind of weird. It's just just in case negative keywords. So for like the real estate investor industry, just for example, it was if we're motivated sellers, I'm blocking buyers. So with the chiropractor one, it's still in the works. It's ones that I'm still finding negative keywords. That I run a search terms report every week, at least once a week, and that will show all the terms that were typed in that somebody clicked on. In AdWords, you can't see all the terms that were searched for, but if they clicked on it, then we can see what terms were searched, and then I can make if it's a bad search, unfortunately they clicked on it, but I can make that into a negative keyword then. So it's an always going process, and an important one. And especially with the phrase and exact match, usually there isn't a lot of keywords that are going to pop. They're more important on that broad match side. So I think I added a few in there for the chiropractor, but the majority of the clicks were coming from targeted searches.
Okay, gotcha. So do you have the numbers then in front of you that we can go through as far as what we did, how much we spent, how many clicks, and then maybe we'll talk about some of those different metrics too?
Yep. So with the chiropractors, their website was kind of tough to track conversions, only because they don't have a lead form on their website. So that's one thing I would suggest if they were to continue somehow just getting a lead form on their site. And it could be simple. It could be just phone number, email, their first name, and then maybe what their issue is or what they're looking for. But that would be kind of the number one thing just to be able to track the conversion side. I was able to track some of the phone conversions. So we did have 2 phone calls at least. And AdWords and phone conversions, sometimes they don't record very well, but there was 2 that we did have, and there could have been possibly more. That's where I like to kind of have opportunities to contact the clients just to make sure that everything is optimized, so we're not missing anything. And if we are missing something, then I need to go in and fix it somehow. But with the numbers, we had the chiropractor, we had their budget set up at $15 a day. There's 163 clicks. They're getting a lot of impressions at 7,287. There's a good click-through rate at 2.24, and kind of a standard in AdWords. AdWords recommend, or if we can hit in between 1.5 and maybe 2.5, those are good click-through rates, or what Google will view as good click-through rates. I always like to have them a little bit higher, but 2.24 was pretty good, definitely as a start. With that, their average cost per click was $3.30, and that is pretty low, lower than I anticipated. I thought it was going to be more around the $8 to $10 mark. So $3.30 was pretty good. And then their overall spend, and I think we had this going for 5 weeks actually, instead of 4. So over 5 weeks, their total spend was $538.23. again, with this one, I think if there's a lead form, our conversions would have been a lot better. So they would have had more contact, more interaction with the searcher, which was kind of the case with the optometrist one. They had the optometrist had a lead form, so they had more conversions on their site. So the lead form's it's an important part of just having a website. But so their numbers were good. The chiropractor, I thought went well. It's just the thing that kind of irked me was just not having the conversions, probably recording right. Like I said, the phone conversions with AdWords is you have to go into the back end of the site. You have to add in some code, replace a phone number, and then Google actually will, if someone searches and clicks on an ad, they replace their phone number. So when they call, it's actually not the phone number that's on their website, it's a Google generated phone number. So sometimes that isn't, it's not optimized as it should be. But there was at least a couple, but I think there would have been more, or I know there should have been more with them having a lead form on their site.
Right. So, all right, with the phone number that you track through there, that doesn't change anything as far as on the website or the number that the prospect sees. That's just something that behind the scenes, is it like a click to call? They touch it, it dials through, and it goes that way.
Correct. Yeah. It changes absolutely nothing with their website. It's called a Google forwarding number. Yeah, and so it'd just be something that they click to call, and then Google can track it that way.
Right. So with that, now I know you talked about the forms, and I actually discourage the form when it comes to most of my doctors, unless they're offering a freebie, which that's not the main thing that we're looking for. I want them to pick up the phone and call to schedule the appointment versus that. But let's talk about it. And maybe you didn't see it on those contact forms. What were those people? What were they putting? Just their information in there? Were they, I guess for the optometrist one, were they asking questions? What's the general thing that they actually ask for?
Yeah, I don't have access to that. I can see what their form is, but the optometrist himself would have what their questions were.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I know it's a tracking nightmare, especially, and same with Google when they made the switch, because we used to use a lot of tracking numbers so we could track everything. But now with Google My Business, you got to have all your citations right and everything else, so you can't use individual tracking numbers. So they made it really challenging to track things the way it should be. But
and like I said, with them though, like with a client, that's why I like to contact them at least once a week to make sure that if they are that I'm missing, and then somehow there's that gap of to go in and try to fix it on the back end.
Sure. Well, and that's one of those things too that's important, like you said, to be able to communicate to them, for that person to know their baseline first of, hey, how many patients am I already getting from the internet, is really important, so that when you start the campaign, even if you're tracking and your metrics isn't 100%, they can know, all right, I was only getting 5 from the internet before, and the last 2 months I've been getting 16. Well, they know that math then, hey, this is really productive, because now I'm getting 8, 10, 12 more people from the internet that I was not getting before.
Correct. Yeah, and to kind of go along with that, I wrote down what their mobile searches. So they had, like I said, they had 70 clicks, and 39 of those came from mobile. So their mobile searches were high, or at least over 50%, which is typically pretty good. So along with that, important to kind of have that phone tracking on there, because they're getting a lot of mobile searches.
Sure. So with the chiropractor, 168 clicks. That I know you set up something called extensions on those. Can you tell where those clicks come from? If it's just to click on the ad, if it's click on the extensions, and obviously spending $3.30 a click to get 186 people to the website. You got to expect, if there's a halfway decent website, you're going to get a fair amount of business out of that. But tell me about those clicks. Can you follow that?
Yeah, yeah. There, again, AdWords reporting isn't, when you look at ad extensions, isn't a exact science. When I'm looking at the phone number, it says 92 clicks on their phone number, and that could be skewed, unfortunately. And that's just, it's not a flaw, but it's just it's a gap in reporting. And with those phone numbers, it says the two conversions. So it said the two conversions came from phone numbers, but then when I click on site links, which are they're extra links underneath an ad that can be shown just to make your ad a little bit more prominent, and then add value to the ad. So I had on the chiropractor, they had two links. They had contact us, which drove them to just their contact page with their phone number, address, and then about their team page, so just more about them, to make it more personable. And that's kind of what I've found over the years. If you can make that contact with the searcher, and give them maybe a little bit more information that they maybe feel a connection to, so then they potentially contact. But when I look at that, also the conversions came off of these two too. So the conversion tracking and the site links, that recording, yeah, it's not. Like I said, it's not a super valuable, as far as looking at clicks, estimate of how well these site links performed. But off of those site links, the About Team and Contact Us page, through those total clicks, there's 109 off of those. So 109 clicks off of those site links. I like to use them, like I said, just I've talked with other AdWords advertisers, and some of them, they don't like using them because they feel that depending on where you're driving them to, if it's a Contact Us page or a like or About Us page, they don't see the value in just driving them to a page that doesn't have an opt-in. And to me, it's if you can just add that value in, and like I said, kind of make that connection with wherever they're searching, or whatever doctor they're clicking on. If they see something that they like, yeah, then great. So to me, they're a benefit. So I'll use site links. I use another extension called Callouts. So if anything that, I'm going to go in here real quick. I'll tell you what, if there's anything that kind of, again, shows them some value of what the doctor was, and bring that up.
Yeah, while you're looking at that, I see the value in those because, especially with the shift here, and this is probably perfect timing, where they did away with sidebar ads and they added a fourth paid ad. Adding those site extensions, don't you just get more space on your ad? So you just show up bigger. And so to me, I mean, hey, the bigger ad I can get and push some other advertisers down, I think it's just really important, take up more space on the page.
Correct. Yep, correct. And that's what I tested some, and again, being the chiropractor being new, so I had to test some call outs. And my thought on these call outs was what they kind of specialized in. So on their landing page, they talked about where they went with their service. So and it was pretty general, but just again, the call outs are non-clickable links. So they're just words, but they're telling a little bit more about the business. So I had neck pain, massage therapy, back pain. I had sports therapy in there, and then I had sciatica. And so just a little bit more information on again, like I said, most people kind of know what a chiropractor does. I took those directly off their site and just added them as more of that prominent, their ad getting out there. And again, there's 106 clicks off of ads that had those call outs. Again, those call outs aren't they're not clickable. It's just those there was 106 clicks off of ads that had those on there.
Right. Okay. So this chiropractor, new website, obviously adding new pages and posts. Can you choose then, because you did the About Us and the Contact Us, can you choose if they have certain niches they want to target then, which extensions show up? You can basically choose any page or post off of the website?
Correct. Yep. Absolutely. and kind of the more, well, not necessarily the more the better, but if they have testimonials. I like driving driving to testimonial pages and stuff like that. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I promote a lot of reputation as far as not just the management, but the actual marketing. I talk about that every day. I think that's one of those things that the searcher wants that social proof. They want to know, okay, you showed up first, but I also want to know I'm going to the right place, that someone else has had a good experience in that place. So you
Correct.
could put up pages, you could put up a testimonial page, you could also probably put up a review page and have both of those depending on what's going through that person's mind. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, and that's things I would love to, especially like with the investors. I like that part of it. I like if I see something that's maybe lacking on a website, I'd like trying to at least let them know what's available or what could help. So I'm also trying to help them not only on that paid side, but also on the SEO side. And again, it's up to them and or recommendations from, but there's stuff that could help, not only, like I said, with the paid, but just overall on the internet experience. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. So you do, along with it, you'll consult with the new person that you're bringing on, because I think that's important, that if you're just driving traffic and they're not seeing any conversions, that kind of looks like it's coming back on you. So you're going to let them know, hey, in order to convert better, I would recommend doing X, Y, and Z, so that the traffic I'm sending to you obviously does better and you actually get more calls, more form fills, any of those things.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And that's, I like it. And not enough clients probably take advantage of it. I have clients that are silent. They'll be silent for months. And to me, I almost get an uncomfortable feeling that they're just not paying attention, or that they don't care and they need to. So the investors that I have that don't, I try to email them every week just to make sure that they don't have any questions, and I won't hear from them. So the ones that really are active, I enjoy working with them. It's kind of fun.
Okay. Any other, I guess, comments on this? Any pitfalls, things they should look out for? Obviously, we'll drop your contact information in here too, that you got for them.
Yeah, pitfalls we kind of covered. The keyword side, just staying away from very general keywords, and that's probably the main pitfall, or the first one that comes about. Probably the biggest pitfall is setting up a campaign and then never working on it or never checking in on it. And so I've seen accounts that they've been set up, they started running well, and then the client chose not to look at it for months. And when they finally went in, they saw that their budget was being spent, or geez, I've had some that they never went back in, and their credit cards were one was I think it was a fraud issue. So AdWords didn't even have a credit card on file 2 months later, and they were actually they kept getting notices, and then AdWords finally was kind of at the end point where they're kind of threatening the next step. But just paying attention to accounts and going in and actually working on them. It could be an hour a week sometimes, or it just depends. I probably spend in my accounts, I probably spend a couple hours a week looking at all of my accounts. And just after you get them set up, I like testing. So I'll go in and I'll test ad text. And that's just, I kind of have my own system on tweaking up ads, keeping good ones and just, changing up those good ones a little bit to see how the next round will go. And then I'll let them run for a week or two, and then I change them up again. And then also looking at those negative keywords all the time. Or anything that we can kind of just keep costs down and conversions up. So that, again, biggest pitfall, just being naive or not paying attention to accounts and running through budgets. And like I said, it's just time, having that, putting that extra time. Along with that, though, that's where the investors usually hire me, because this isn't their job. It's not their job to learn how to make AdWords optimized for them and generate leads using the internet. Their job is to make sales or deals. So again, probably the same thing with the chiropractors. It would be something that they don't need to learn. It would be,
right.
Or if they did, I try to train my investors also, if they ever want to take over an account, just to, if it's 3 months down the road and they want to give it their own shot, I have no problem training them a little bit on just what to look for or watch out for, and have them take it over. And some of them have been successful, and some of them have hired me back. So it's up to them. But that training part, I think, is also important. So then they know what's going on in the accounts.
Yeah, I think that's important. Of course, I outsource a lot. Obviously, I look for you for AdWords. I look for someone else. My stuff is in SEO and in reputation, but even at that, I don't do a lot of it. I'm really familiar with what needs to be done, and I really try and hire the best people in that specific realm to actually do it for me. So that's why I put together a team. I find that I'm the smartest when I hire people smarter than me. And so I think that's important too. A chiropractor, I feel like they should know, some of the steps along with it, but man, it's just not the best use of their time. The best use of their time is taking care of patients. So you're 100% there. You get people that kind of you get them set up for a couple of months and it's going well, and they're like, hey, I'll take it from here. But I don't think they realize that it does take that maintenance, on an ongoing basis, sometimes more, sometimes less, but it's important that, you don't forget about it and just kind of let it go its way. So I appreciate that. Any other parting notes then, I guess?
No, I think I kind of covered at least the basics of it. Like I said, it was definitely fun. I enjoyed, again, a new industry. I've kind of been in that real estate investor industry for a while, and it's definitely it's not boring by any means, but it's just tweaking up small things. I have kind of my keyword list. So these other industries it was kind of a blast. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think I'll have you keep going with the chiropractor for sure, because I'm excited to see over the course of 2, 3, 4 months, the more you get familiar with it, the more you test it and tweak it, what it can become. Because I'm already pretty impressed with the numbers, to get 186 clicks over there. Checking with him, I think he said he got an extra 10 or 12 patients from that. So, that's 10% of those clicks are turning into patients, and that's big numbers, especially for chiropractors averaging $1,000 to $2,000 lifetime value. To spend $500 and make an extra 10 grand, that's huge ROI. So yeah. It's definitely worth it. So to be able to even narrow that down even more, and maybe not even, get better conversions, but be able to add on to and scale that up, really try and ramp it up. Those are big numbers. So I appreciate what you did right out of the gate with it.
Good. Thank you.
All right. Well, like I said, we'll get your contact information on here. I'll make sure everyone gets it, and they'll get a hold of you. And I know they'll be in good hands.
Good. Thank you, Jeff.
You bet. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks.